You are now tuned in to DM3 Entertainment. And before we get started, I gotta hit you with the warning. What's up, everybody? As y'all see on the screen, it says Tasha St. Patrick is an example of a toxic female. I did this because I like to say thank you to everybody that's been checking out my video on Ghost. And I said I didn't know people were into it like that. So I'm gonna give you my take on Tasha and how I feel as though she's definitely one of the parts of was a serious downfall to everything that went on with Ghost. I watched the first episode today so I can refresh myself of what really went down. Now, everyone knows that Ghost cheated on Tasha with Angie. But as I go back and I look at it, I noticed that Tasha is a very jealous individual because Ghost didn't even do anything with Tasha yet. And she runs off at the club without any type of explanations or anything and gets a ride home with Sean. And as she's going home for a ride with Sean, not knowing why her husband did what he did, she takes her underwear off. She shows her breasts. She starts playing with herself in the back seat of a car, letting the man see everything that's going on with her. So she's not an individual that you can say she's so innocent. Because if you guys remember, in the first episode, Ghost asked Tasha straight up, when they first met, what did she look at him or see in him? And she was like that he was going to be the biggest drug dealer in New York City. Showing you toxically, not thinking bigger. All she was concerned with was getting money, because when he said that he wanted to go legit or work on being legit, she just scoffed at him and was like, you make more money doing things illegal than you do trying to being, not being illegal. So it shows you that she was just focused on the fact of, like any other chicken head or toxic female, she was just considered worrying about paper and money and not looking at the bigger picture in life, making her family safe and successful. It's just a trip to me how a female like herself cannot see the beauty in her husband wanting to be a better man, but she did not support him in these type of things. So like I said in the last video, in actuality, Tasha pushed Ghost into the arms of Angie. Now, if you guys remember, like I remember, as we go back to the beginning of Power, Tasha would tease Sean like crazy. Now, this is where the toxicness of a female comes in at. Knowing she knows how her husband is and what her husband does, she gets a young man who's enamored with her to start to look at her in a certain way that makes him want her. Instead of her being the bigger woman and saying that she is a mother of 3 children, she is married, and she should take the bigger role and saying, my husband may have done wrong, but I'm going to set an example. But no, what she does as a toxic female is say, I'm going to get even. I'm going to do what he did to me. And this is definitely a sign of someone who is toxic. And we all know what happened to Sean, trying to save a toxic female, thinking that he was doing something noble. But in actuality, Tasha, being a toxic individual that she was only looking out for herself. And poor Sean ends up getting killed by his own father. Moving forward, I'm going to talk about her next situation. Now, in her next toxic situation, we all know that Ghost was dealing with Angie on a regular basis, and then he was going to get to the point where he wasn't going to mess with Angie because Angie was involved with law enforcement. What does Tasha do? Thinking that she's smarter than everybody else, she tells Ghost to continue fucking Angie. Very smart of you and very toxic of you, due to the fact that instead of that, you should supported your man and tried to work some kind of situation out with him instead of basically pimping him out so that you can keep the lifestyle that you were used to. This is crazy to me. So what ends up happening is that the female that you tell your husband to still continue messing with gets your husband put in jail. So he has to get lawyers. And instead of you just focusing on him, you're mad and you're tired of him dealing with Angie. You figure, I'm going to just leave him and I'm going to go with the next man that I see that shows me attention. Now, we all know what happened to Sean dealing with a toxic female. So now here she goes and now starts messing with Mr. Silver. And he wasn't built for this at all. And she was falling crazy for him, you know, just thinking of herself as always, and as a toxic female would do. Instead of thinking about her family, she just thought of her own personal gains. But that didn't end up working at all. What ends up happening with that is that Terry Silver ended up dying. And it doesn't work out for that one. So as we know, what a toxic female will do, she jumps from man to man, trying to find love, trying to find what she wants and what she desires. But the bottom line is she will never find what she desires because she does not know what she desires. She chases after something that she did not build and grow herself. So it just does not work. Now, as we all know, at the end of here, this is a spoiler, but I know pretty much everybody has seen it by now, that Tasha hooks up with another man desiring her, and she is happy to be getting all of the attention. And as I watched this other fellow by the name of Tommy Sotomayor, he says that Tasha is looking for DNA, dick, and attention. So she gets the attention from this new guy. And instead of saying, I'll try to work it out with this one, she has a plan set up, and that plan falls apart. Showing her seriously toxic self, she tries to put a man in jail who is a single father raising a daughter. What kind of mess is that? So it ends up that she catches karma, and the brother is smart enough to realize that this woman is toxic and I better have an alibi or a plan B in case shit hits the fan. And shit hit the fan. But like I said, he was smart enough to cover his bases. And Tasha ends up going to jail for trying to be too smart for her own good. And it shows you a perfect example of a female who is toxic on top of toxic. She had everything she wanted. All she had to do is play her position. All she had to do was support her man and whatever he desired. Because as we all know, Ghost would have taken care of his family. Even if he went legit, he still would have been good. Because Ghost had a mind of a businessman, a mind of a strategist, an individual who would always come up on top. And if Tasha was a true ride or die chick like Angie was, then she would have known that her man had her back regardless of whatever he indulged in. But because of her toxicness, Tasha ended up where she was. So this is an example of what a toxic female is. And ladies, never be toxic. And until next time, catch you later. Oh yeah, remember to follow me on Instagram and check me out nightly on my People's Podcast. Flame on.